The energy that comes with like stop doing that versus start doing this,
Hmm.
right? If you're working on something and you're going to be working on it for the year, just your energy, the way you feel about yourself is going to be better. And I think that is what supports some of this better success.
Hello and welcome. We're so glad you're tuning into the Taking Good Care show. I'm Dr. Andrew Wong, based in Toronto, Canada.
And I'm Dr. David St. Arnaud, based in Edmonton, Canada. We're two practicing psychologists with over a decade of experience each, working in a variety of settings and supporting diverse populations.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. While we're both practicing psychologists, our podcast is intended purely for educational and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional mental health care or treatment. If you're in need of support, we strongly encourage you to reach out to a licensed mental health professional in your area.
All right. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning, Dave. It's December 23rd. How are we feeling?
Feeling good. I just put the kind of notification or the bounce back email on my work email. It's feeling like I'm now moving into the holiday season. Typically, I don't even look too far ahead because this is a really busy time at work, and I'm really focused on, supporting the people that are coming to see me, and yeah, really being focused on work. But this morning I woke up and it's like it's a new chapter. It's time for hanging out with you this morning, and then doing some last minute running around and enjoying some family time.
Oh, good for you. I'm still seeing a couple of clients today. Um, but similar to you, I find putting on that away message, that auto reply, there's something very satisfying about it. So when you were saying that, I was chuckling because it's like, yeah, there's something so nice when you say, yeah, I'm going to be out of the office and I may not be able to respond.
Yeah, and here's the day where I'm coming back, right?
That's
And
right.
so, yeah, give yourself permission to stop checking emails, stop following up on things.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So no, it's exciting. Looking forward to the break. I hope you are as well. And I hope the kids and the family's ready for the break just to get some downtime and hopefully some rest and peacefulness.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, it's the season, right? And so I was reflecting a little bit on even the individual clients that I've seen or the men's group that I did last week. And a lot of times this is a time of reflection, right? Looking back on the past year
Yeah.
and then looking ahead. And that is our topic for today with New Year's resolutions. So yeah, I guess
Yeah.
full disclosure, when Andrew asked if we should do this topic, I said no. I hate New Year's resolutions, but I've shifted a bit. So I'm curious about you because we haven't really talked about our own personal thoughts or professional thoughts on this topic. So I'm curious where you're at with New Year's resolutions.
It's interesting that it's a thing, especially now that I've been in this field for a while. Should it be set to one time of the year? Probably not. And I always see I don't think it's a bad goal to have per se, but I think it has to be framed really delicately. And just like everything else that we may undertake, we have to be ready for it. We can't just say it and for some reason believe that we'll somehow act upon it. I think we have to be psychologically ready to make changes if that's what we want to do. For some people, I know this is like a benchmark, maybe a reset. New year, there's a whole connotation, you ring in the new year, new expectations. But are we ready? Are we motivated for change? And then I think a lot of the time, it's so easy to say, for example, my goal is to get healthier. I'm going to go to the gym 4 times a week. That's going to start January 2nd, when the gym opens up again. But it can be such a big expectation if, let's say, you haven't gone to the gym at all for a few years. So, are we ready to take that next step? And do we have a plan to take that next step? I don't know. What are your thoughts, Dave?
Well, you answered very generally and
I did.
probably, yeah, a
You
little
want
bit
something
more
more
like,
personal?
do you make a New Year's resolution every year? Is that something you do personally?
I reflect on it. I reflect on it. I would say maybe more so last year I did, but I didn't give myself timelines. I didn't say, you know what, starting January 2nd, starting January 3rd, it has to be done. Or I never said by January 31st, I have to have met this goal, right? So one of the things I did say was, okay, I'm going to try and get on social media a bit more. I'm not a social media person. I don't like doing it. I think for me, it's a big waste of time because it takes me forever to do anything when it comes to social media. So for me, that was not a huge thing, but I thought, for the sake of the practice, I should probably do it. The other thing was to relaunch, or not relaunch, to launch or get this podcast off the ground. And so I was very happy when you contacted me again, because I think last year, 2024, we just got so busy, the two of us, and we sort of just dropped it for a little while. And then I think it was in last December, we were like, hey, what's going on with this? So that was part of it. It's like, okay, let's really try and get this going. And then I think there was one more thing, but to be honest, I don't even remember now.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of thinking out loud, I haven't done New Year's resolutions, and I was like, what is that about? Why? And I think, we can have our own personal views, and then when we meet with clients, like we set that aside, right? So if
Hmm.
I'm meeting with a client who's super keen on doing a New Year's resolution, and I get curious about like how is this meaningful to you, and what
Hmm.
does this look like for you? So, just to say that too, a bit of a caveat that because I use the word hate, like I that's probably too strong of a word, but I generally avoid or don't do New Year's resolutions and don't really even entertain that idea. So again, talking out loud right now, I'm like, probably because I'm a bit like I like to push back on some rules. So this seems
Hmm.
like a big thing that everyone's doing, and I'm just like, I'm not doing that, right? And it's not that I don't have goals for myself or I don't like strive for things. I'm like, everyone's doing it on that day or starting
Yeah.
at the beginning of the year. I'm going to do it throughout the year, right?
Hmm.
So it might be just more of my antisocial kind of personality style that shows up every once in a while.
Well, you know what though? I think New Year's resolutions, for me, it's not so much, okay, it's the new year, I better set some goals for myself. I think for me last year was just reflecting back on the year to the year that it was. And I think if I remember correctly, I might have just been working out of the basement and it's not the most engaging thing all the time. And so I just started during my rest breaks, just started to think about, what was my year like, how busy it was, some of the challenges that I had. And it's like, okay, what do I want different for this coming year? How can I take a different turn? So it was more so a reflection. It started off as a reflection of what was my year like? What was challenging about it? And what can I do? What's in my control to perhaps make things a little bit different for 2025? And so
Hmm.
other years I don't typically set resolutions, even though I do hear it from other people. You get asked, sometimes when you go to parties or clients will talk about it. But last year was really the first year that I can remember in recent years that I actually said, okay, what can I do this year that's a little different?
Preparing for this or just even thinking about talking about it on the podcast, I talked to our admin Destiny at front desk here, and I just said that we'd be talking about this for one of our episodes, and she got super excited and was just like telling me about three, like she makes resolutions for different areas of her life, and she'll make like three or four of them.
Hmm.
And just watching her light up talking about them and explaining like how she achieved those goals last year and what her goals were going to be for this year, it was almost contagious. I was like, oh geez, maybe this is something I need to integrate into my life, right? Like, so being open to that, I was like, okay, what is this about? And I was doing my own research around it too, and I'm definitely probably, well, check in with me in the new year, but I'm pretty sure that I am going to set some New Year's resolutions this year, and I'll probably share them on here so that, because that's part of the thing with making them successful is if you can share them with someone and have other people kind of check in with you, or at least that they know that you're working on this thing or
Yeah.
you're working towards something, that can really help. So even if it was just me and you, and I tell you before we start recording what my resolution is, and you check in with me every once in a while, that'll probably make it more likely to be successful. So,
Yeah. Right. So it'll be interesting for you to see what this is like, if you
Hmm.
even like the intentionality of setting something, or like you said, is it just something that if it comes up, doesn't matter what part of the year, if it just comes up and you're like, yeah, I want to do that. So I'm gonna set my sights on that and I'm gonna do it. Right. Perhaps that's more your style and nothing wrong with that.
Oh, maybe it's my like not wanting to fail. How about that? So I'm just thinking of this because a lot of my life goals have been, I like working with people. So I wanted to find a profession or, it was going to be teaching and now it's psychology. But I never really like put hard limits or set specific goals. It was like, I'll just keep working towards things and maybe that way, and then I don't fail because I never put that like official benchmark. So maybe some of the listeners might relate to that possibly.
Huh. But then it's not like you failed per se. Like you've succeeded in a lot of stuff and you've put your mind to it and you've done it.
Yeah, but let's say I want to get healthier, right? And so I
Yeah.
say I want to work out more, or I want to run more. And so this year I want to run a marathon at this time. Like most of the time, it's like, I want to run a marathon. I hope to make it about this time. This is my first goal, second goal, third goal. Either way, like I'm winning because I'm training for it, right? So even if I don't run the marathon, which has actually happened in real life, I still feel like I benefited from the process, right? But I
And
didn't
did you
have,
enjoy the process?
yeah, I mean, yeah, I was healthier, but I failed the running the marathon that year, right? Like I actually, the funny story, I I went with all the marathon runners and even had like a friend that I was running, and the Edmonton Marathon, it loops around, so it goes half the marathon goes back up into the start line,
Yeah.
and then you do the second half. So at half, I just pieced out and went and had breakfast with like I was first in line for breakfast. I didn't finish. I didn't do the second half of the marathon. I just did the first half. And I was like, this is probably as much as I can do this year because of the way that I trained. So
But
it's a funny story, but
in the moment though, did you feel that though? Like were you just gassed?
no, I had already like kind of talked to myself like, okay, here's the training I've done, here's the distances I've done, here's how I felt. Like, we'll see how I feel at half, but I was probably leaning towards not doing the full marathon, but I had already signed up for it long time ago, paid for it, got the
Mm.
t-shirt. And, but it's funny because I'd wear that same t-shirt and the guy that I'm thinking about would kind of chuckle and be like, "Oh yeah, you got the marathon t-shirt, but you only did a half." And I was like, "Yes, you're right." Feel shame.
How did you feel in the moment when you just trailed off and went to breakfast?
Well, I was like, hey, I get breakfast before everyone else. Because the full marathon starts about an hour before the half, right? So
Okay.
everyone else who would have done a half was coming in an hour later. So I was like, that's a benefit. I'll get home earlier. I'll see my kids earlier. Like it's just, I thought like, hey, I still ran half a marathon. Like that's not nothing, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I had a
And have
good
you done half
time.
marathons before?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't my first half, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know. I think some people would say, hey, like Dave, like your confidence to just peel off and not finish and just feel good about it. I think they'd be like, man, I wish I could be like that.
Okay, so
Versus,
maybe this is what I'll do is I'll set like a really high bar and then if I get halfway there, I'll be happy with myself. No, I don't want to do that. I want to set a goal this year and like achieve it. So this is where I'm at. Maybe this is a bit of a challenge for myself that I didn't think we'd be talking about this right now, so much about my own New Year's resolution, but here we are.
I think that's interesting though, right? Because it sounded like you had a goal and you had the best of intentions to do it. Now, I think for some people, when they set a goal and they don't achieve it, a lot of shame and guilt does come on, a lot of disappointment. I love your response to it, Dave. Like, you know what? I'm going to go get breakfast. I'm going to see my kids. This is going to be a good morning. I did a half marathon. That's not nothing. Still achieved it, and I'm done now. But I do think there are many people who are, again, have the best of intentions, perhaps at New Year's or even other times of the year, but they'll put it on like procrastination. They'll say, "Oh, I'm procrastinating. I'm not starting." Or, you know what? It's April now. I set that back in January, whatever. It's so long ago. There's no point going back to it. But a lot of that, like they will feel the disappointment. And then
Hmm.
the next year comes again and they'll say, I'm gonna try that again. Right. And again and again and again. And that's one of the things about New Year's resolutions is that over time, if we keep saying we're going to try something and we keep seeing quote unquote failure, it doesn't help our self-confidence and our self-esteem.
No, it kind of undermines it, right? Like we kind of believe that we can't achieve something, or that in a way we're kind of lying to ourselves. Like we get excited about something, but we don't follow through on it. But you said like something at the beginning around them not being really that successful, or but I looked up some research on it, and what did it say? It said that like about 46% in this one study, 46% had maintained like had successfully achieved their New Year's resolution at 6 months. And a different study found that 55% successfully achieved their New Year's resolution at 12 months, so over the year.
Hmm.
So when we're looking at that, I think maybe I don't know, maybe we're just more familiar with not achieving them, like the people that sign up for the gym and then don't show
True.
up in February, March
Yeah.
because the initial motivation kind of wore off. But there are a lot of people, at least from these studies, like say half the people achieve their goals.
So is that still a bit of a toss-up though?
Well, sure, but like 50 out of 100 people. Like that's not like all the New Year's
True.
resolutions don't work, right? Like that's a when we're looking at any kind of change, we know in this like
Hmm.
behavioral medicine and health, like these changes oftentimes, the ones that people are picking for New Year's resolutions are not easy.
So it does make me wonder what drives that change. Why at the beginning of the year? And even what level of motivation is a person at in order to sustain that change? I don't know the studies that you read, Dave, but I don't know if they talked about like how well things were sustained over time. For example, if it's to get healthier, did they eat a certain way for the whole year, and was that sustained over the course of, I don't know, that X number of years after that? But I guess nonetheless, though, I must say, like people who make the intention, set the goal, and let's say they reach the goal, even if it's not sustained, you know what? Good for you, right? And good for them for being able to do that.
Yeah, well, I was talking to Dr. Mike that was on a previous episode just after a soccer game, and I was just talking about I had a surgery coming up and I wanted to be as healthy as I could going into that surgery, right? So
Yeah.
about a month and a half before, I was like, I'm not going to drink any alcohol, like zero, complete abstinence, and some other like cleaning up my diet and doing other stuff because I thought almost like what my wife was told when she was pregnant and coming up to labor, coming up to delivery. It was like the healthier you are going into this,
Mm,
the quicker your recovery will be. So that was kind of my philosophy with that. And he said, well, like drinking less anytime, any amount is going to be better for you. And I was like, oh yeah. So even if you set an intention to, drink less or not drink, even if you only make it 2 months, that is still better for you than not doing it at all. Right. So
true.
it's
Yeah.
it's kind of win-win with some of these New Year's resolutions, whether you achieve your final goal or not. It could just mean that you are a bit healthier for a bit longer, and that is good for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think even for myself, when I set some of these intentions, I think just like with your running, it's the process that often gets neglected. So when we talk about reaching a certain goal, I think it's always nice to have this sort of hope and dream and wish that we're going to reach that goal.
Hmm.
But the process, how are we going to do it? Right? Like we could have just said the whole time, we're going to start this podcast, we're going to start this podcast. But it
Hmm.
took us to sit down and say, okay, how are we going to do it?
Yeah, you know what? I love the marathon one, and I don't want to make it look like I've run a ton of marathons. I've ran 2 marathons, right? So, but when I was planning or looking how to run a marathon for the first time, I actually found this breakdown of every week, every day, like what kind of distance you need to run, and so it really broke it down. It wasn't, I want to run a marathon and I'm just going to go out and run every once in a while and hopefully I'll finish the marathon. the plan was very clear. It was like if you follow this, 95% of people complete the marathon on the day of, right? So it had a high success rate. And it was actually surprising at how little you actually ran because the plan itself, you never actually ran the full marathon distance before that day. So
Yeah,
it's a
that's
bit
right.
unnerving to think like, oh, I've never done it and now I'm supposed to do it on the day of. But if you follow that program, so being able to, how am I actually going to do this thing and have those specific kind of mini goals? And I knew that if I was deviating from that, so if like halfway through, like say 8 weeks into it, all of a sudden I wasn't doing those runs or keeping up with what it was recommended, then I know I'm falling short and I'm likely not going to achieve my goal, right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of that barometer to be like, am I on pace to keep up with what I'm hoping to do?
But I also like this example though, Dave, with running because I think I often use running in my analogies with clients too. But I think it's analogous to this all or nothing thinking, right? Like you could have said, "Oh, I didn't finish it, and so I'm a complete failure," right? But you didn't. In the moment, you were like, "You know what? I ran half. I knew going into this was pretty much what I was aiming for, and so I'm going to peel off now." And you were still satisfied and content with you doing the half, and now you're going to go enjoy something else. But I think that's where sometimes we fall into that trap of that all or nothing thinking, right? Like we might say to ourselves, I'm going to go to the gym like 6 days out of 7 days of the week. And then let's say we don't make it 6 days, and it's like, oh man, like this sucks. Forget it. I'm not going to do it anymore. I didn't even reach my goal anyway. Right. But let's say you even went 2 or 3 times a week. Like, can we still see that as success?
Yeah, yeah, that like, oh, I failed, so I'm gonna just, not do this thing anymore. And
Yeah,
we talked a bit about this, like even with addictions, right? Like
yeah,
this relapse. And then what do? Right? And this, if you see relapse as part of recovery, if you see these kind of quote unquote failures as part of the process, then you get up the next week and you make it to the gym 6 times, knowing that last week you didn't. And that's okay, right? Like it's
yeah,
not like you're striving for that, but just knowing that there's going to be bumps in the road, that
yeah,
your life is going to take some turns and you might have set out with this intention at the beginning of the year, and then something changes, what's possible.
yeah,
And being able to adjust that, I think, is like you said, that all or nothing thinking. If we can have some flexibility, even within these goals,
yeah.
we'll be better off for it.
I get a lot of that actually with some of my clients, we either with like smoking marijuana or cigarettes. It's like, oh yeah, right now I'm smoking like 2 packs a day, and my goal is to stop it completely,
Mhm.
right? And then they get back, they maybe go down to like 1 pack a day or half a pack a day. And for a little while, it's like, yeah, I'm smoking less. This feels good. And then sometimes it's just that the switch just sort of flips and it's like, well, I didn't get down to zero. So I just went back up to two. And so it's sort of like, oh, like we could have really rode that success of like getting down to half a pack a day.
Actually, it brings up this point of a lot of times our goals, like how we frame our goals, whether we're moving towards something versus moving away from something, like I'm not going to do this.
Hmm.
It's typically better, at least, from a psychological perspective, to choose things that are like I'm going to eat more vegetables rather than I'm going to eat less junk food, right? Or I'm going to go more to the gym rather than I'm going to stop sitting on the couch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
so veering more towards the positive behavior.
Yeah.
So this one is interesting because oftentimes when I work with parents, I get the statement, I don't want Johnny to do this. They have to stop doing this, stop doing that. Don't do this, don't do that. And I always reflect it back to the parents. It's like, okay, so you're telling your child not to do something. And so what are they supposed to do? Right? So you
Hmm.
tell them not to do this, not to do that, not then their interpretation is that what? I'm just supposed to stand here with my
Hmm.
arms at my side and that's it. Right. So it's really important to tell the person or tell the child what to do, the actionable point.
Yeah, and I think you feel that in your body, your kid's gonna feel that in their body, right? The energy that comes with like stop doing that versus start doing this,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
if you're working on something and you're going to be working on it for the year, just your energy, the way you feel about yourself is going to
Yep.
be better. And I think that is what supports some of this better success.
So even like I'm gonna go see my friends a few more times a month. Maybe
Hmm.
not even a few, like a couple times a month. It's an actionable point. It's interactive. You can contact them. It's something to do, maybe just to message somebody. And because there's behavior and action involved, it's more likely to happen than when we're berating ourselves and scolding ourselves to stop doing something.
So one of the co-facilitators for the men's group, he used to be keen on this. He loved like SMART goals and he would, put up on the whiteboard. And are you a big SMART goals person?
I'm not. I'm not. Are you?
It's something that is kind of, I think, woven its way into when I think about goals. Like I'm not a teaching kind of break it down and here's what S stands for. Often when I think about like a SMART goal or a goal, I'll just be like, is it smart or is it not? Right? Like,
Am I gonna get in trouble for this or am I not?
no, just like in my head, even when a client says, I want to do this, I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a SMART goal, or oh, that's not that smart. Let's make it a
Yeah.
little smarter. And I don't know, I want to
Do you want to
probably
tell people
walk.
what SMART goals are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can look this up. Like this is all over the internet and there's a bit of mixed research on it. But I think it just helps when people are like, okay, I want to make a goal for myself. Where is it? I gotta find. Well, it starts with S, so specific, making it clear, concrete, and behaviorally focused, right? So rather than I want to be healthy, it's like I want to lose 10 pounds or I want to be able to run 5 kilometers or
So I want to eat more
something.
vegetables or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every day, right? Like you
Yeah.
really want to kind of break it down or every second day, 2 days a week. The
Yeah.
more you can make it specific, then the more likely you will be able to kind of achieve it or stick with it. And then measurable, right? So being able to actually track it. So you might have, there's a lot of like apps and technology now that can track things like even your sleep. If you want to get, I want to go to sleep every night by 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock or whatever, like, and then actually being able to track it, measure it.
Hmm.
And is it achievable? So, really looking at, okay, where you're at now, looking at what you've done before, is this really a lofty goal that's more of a fantasy than an achievable goal? Or is this something that, yeah, reasonably, yes, 10 people, you tell them what your goal is and they'll say, yeah, I could see you doing that. So, making it realistic, which might be a bit depressing. Like sometimes people think like, well, I want to run a marathon. Well, have you even run 5K? No. So let's start with the 5K this year, right? Or 10K or half, right? Is it relevant? Is it meaningful? Is it, connected to your values? Because if it's not, if someone else is just telling you to lose 10 pounds or like you think this is what people should do, then it likely is harder to stick with it naturally.
Yeah.
And then time bound. So, if you're doing a New Year's resolution and you make it for 1 year, okay, right? Or if you want to do something for 3 months, 3 months is actually one of those like psychologically shown to be like once you've done something consistently for 3 months, it almost becomes easier to be a habit. But before the 3 months, it's harder.
Yeah.
So time bound, and that's it. So even thinking about your New Year's resolution that you might have been rolling around in your mind leading up in December, yeah, you can kind of check the boxes off or add to like, oh, actually I gotta fine tune this a little bit.
Yeah.
And I remember like the guy who would say this in the men's group and then the feedback, we get feedback from participants at the end of every night. And
Yeah.
so many guys were like, thank you for the SMART goals. Like this really helps and like really appreciated it. So I don't know why I don't talk more about SMART goals, but yeah.
I was actually gonna ask you, like, what don't you like about it, or how come you don't use it as much?
Well, I just, maybe that's my style. I don't like the explicit teaching of things
Yeah.
is not something I tend to do a lot, but it is like, yeah, I have a worksheet on it that I can hand out to clients, right?
Yeah.
But I don't walk them through it. I'll say, hey, we've talked about this. This is a worksheet that goes along with what we've talked about today. And I even did that yesterday with, stress management.
No, same here. I think there are good concepts behind SMART goals, but again, perhaps due to my own biases and style, like you said, I probably don't use it as much. Like the whole idea, I'll take, for example, time bound. When we're working towards goals, I don't necessarily see time as a particular factor. Just because we don't, let's say, reach a particular goal by a certain time frame doesn't mean that we stop. Throughout, like for me, goals throughout the whole process of reaching a goal is the stepwise process, but also troubleshooting is a huge part of it. I don't know if I've ever set out a goal and like it's been completely smooth. Like even this podcast, like we had to learn how to release it. We had to learn about platforms on what to use and all of that. Like there's a lot of troubleshooting involved. And I believe, and I always say this to my clients too, is that when we're troubleshooting, that's actually building our resilience. That's teaching us problem solving skills and making us hardier for the next challenge that we come across.
Oh, I like that. Like actually goal setting and goal striving and working towards, like that is a skill, right?
Hmm.
And working on that process, that skill in and of itself, rather than being so focused on the goal.
Exactly. So going back to the process, the importance of the process and understanding that, look, there's going to be setbacks. Let's expect them to happen. And when they do happen, let's try to challenge them and confront them rather than running away and avoiding them.
Yeah, I like it.
So that's how I approach goals. I think there's an interesting episode. It's not just about New Year's resolution anymore. It's about just goal setting in general.
It
And
is,
we
but I
always
think,
goal set in therapy.
of course, yeah. What do you like? I often, the way that I ask that is like, what do you hope to get from this, right? But actually, just saying that out loud, I probably could fine tune that too. Like, by what date, by what time, like, how are we going to measure this? I actually use, I think I've mentioned this before, but I use like it allows me to send out surveys, questionnaires on certain topics. So I can actually measure like level of depression or level of anxiety and see whether we're going in the right direction or not in our therapy.
Yep.
And oh, there's a questionnaire on overall quality of life that I think kind
Hmm.
of dovetails nicely into this because I was thinking about this. I was like, I want to maybe make a New Year's resolution for different areas of my life, kind of like, Destiny mentioned, right? It's not just one. So with quality of life, that questionnaire, it breaks it down into physical health, mental health, like psychological health, social engagement or social like relationships, and then environment. And I think those are the four big ones. But maybe instead of environment for myself personally, I think maybe financial goal, like something on the finance side. And those are like often quite measurable and fit the SMART goals kind of platform quite nicely. And then social, mental, and physical. That's where I'm leaning right now.
But I'm wondering what Destiny would say about this. Like, you know how you break it down into buckets?
Hmm.
If there are multiple buckets, is there more pressure as well to fulfill all of those buckets? Do you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
when I mentioned earlier, I had like set out three goals for this year for 2025. And that was it. I capped it at that. It's like, this is probably the most realistic that I
Yeah.
can fulfill maybe two to three. But if you start to like talk about like four, five, six different areas of your life, that's like a job. That's what it sounds like to me, man. Like I have a job, an
Oh,
extra
you're
job
worried I'm
now.
going from zero to hero and just putting too much pressure. I actually think they're pretty, like, depending on the specific goals, like, it can be, I don't know, just setting intentions for those four areas of your life.
Sure.
Seems like I would do that normally. I just wouldn't put a label on it and put
Sure.
like break it down that much. Like I'm pretty conscious of all those areas of my life and how am I doing in them. Yeah. So I don't think this it's that much pressure. I think these are areas that I focus on quite regularly, just on a, I don't know, less intentional way or less objective way, maybe.
Do you have clients who talk about New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, but I wonder if, like, because I tend to steer clear of it, I'll acknowledge it but not spend a lot of time on it. And so The ones that like are super keen on it, absolutely. Like let's spend the whole session like fine tuning this and talking about it. But I wonder how much my own bias might affect the amount of people that talk about New Year's resolutions. Because my first reaction, we kind of chuckle at it sometimes because other people have the same kind of thing. It's like, oh yeah, the gym will be full in January and then it'll be empty in March, right? Like that kind of, aha, we can laugh at New Year's resolutions because a lot of times they don't work. But
Right.
I, I think now if I'm holding this like 50% rule, there's a lot of people that it works for, and I want to make more space for that.
Sure. I think even just goal setting, one of the hardest goals that I often hear from maybe some older teenagers, young adult clients is about relationships, that they want to be in a relationship by such and
Mhm.
such time. That one to me, I'm going to be honest, is a tougher one to navigate, even as a therapist. I think we can talk about values with clients and they set these goals, but I'm always reminding people like the intricacies and the complexities of a relationship, a romantic relationship, is that there's two people involved. Like you may have this goal, but you can do everything that's in your control. At the end of the day, though, you can't control the other side.
No, no, and I think that is actually probably a really important part. Like if your goal involves someone else,
Yeah.
yeah, like if your goal is to improve your relationship and if you're in a relationship but your partner isn't, motivated or interested in changing, then you might need to adjust your goals. And so, yeah, same thing. I hang out with a lot of people that are quite lonely and wishing they were in a relationship. And we can talk about, how can we make that more likely? But to have a goal that by the end of this year, I'm going to be engaged or I'm going to be, in a committed relationship, like, yeah, not probably a realistic goal for a lot of folks.
And as much as I try to make it about, again, the process, like what can we do to increase the probability? It sort of sucks, but the look on their faces when you sort of say, you know what, like even if we do all of that, can't promise that it's going to happen. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do we cope with disappointment, right? Like, so you're putting yourself out there more, but now, you were chatting with someone on an online dating site and you thought you were going to be moving towards like meeting them and then they ghost you, right?
Hmm.
Oh man, I think we're going down a rabbit hole. We could do a whole podcast on, online dating and dating in the,
Well, we should put this
2025,
down.
20.
We should put this down for
Yeah.
2026.
Yeah, because it is something that comes up a lot, at least in my work with adults and teenagers. So, it's almost like, yeah, I'm going to try, I'm going to do this, 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 and then the disappointment happens and the frustration happens, and then it's like, okay, I'm taking a break from it, and then I'll come back to it. So even with our goals, right, we might feel the same way with our New Year's resolutions. It's like, oh, I worked so hard, I lost, 8 pounds, and then I gained three back, and like maybe I'll take a break and then reset and go at it
Hmm.
again. You see this with dieting all the time and
Yep.
exercise and probably almost every, yeah. Actually,
Yeah.
the habit stacking, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
to make your goal or your new habit more likely, you can pair it with something that you're already doing. So
Mm.
I know that I make coffee every night or like for every morning, right? So this is something I do regularly. I've built this into my routine. I don't even think about it anymore. It's just, you know, so if I want to pair maybe, doing 10 minutes of mindfulness, I could pair it with making coffee at night,
Hmm.
right? Because the kids are in bed, I have time rather than scrolling on my phone or doing something else that I might do at that time, right? So think about stacking it with something that you're already doing that you've already built into your routine and you're just adding like kind of a part B to it.
And if it's something like, for example, like you said, making coffee or watching TV, where it can be pretty mindless, you're not moving anyway. If you were to do some crunches during a commercial or something, that's something that you could technically do. And I guess one question I do have, Dave, beyond habit stacking is why are you making coffee the night before? How does that work?
Oh, you
Does
just
it
put the water and you put the coffee and then you set the
Oh,
Like I
you're
just
setting a
press,
timer. I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
are you brewing it at night for the
No, no,
morning?
it auto
Okay,
starts
okay.
at a certain time. Yeah, yeah.
I was confused. I was like, wait, you brew your coffee at night for the morning. Isn't it cold? Okay.
No, it's just, the mornings are kind of chaotic, so I love this
Yes,
feature
yes.
that I can do that the night before and it's
Just a
ready in the morning.
timer.
Yeah.
There you go. I thought you were brewing it at night for the morning. Yeah, no, I think you bring up a good point. Like the habit stacking, it's like what can you pair it with? And for me, it's actually more so the time efficiency. Right. So when you say like do mindfulness while you're doing something that you probably don't need a ton of focus for, and just being mindful of what you're doing.
Well, I was thinking of doing it right after, right? So
Okay,
every
okay.
time I make coffee, I do 10 minutes of
Yep.
mindfulness after, right? And
Yep.
and even as I was saying that, I was like, oh, that's what one of my profs, Dr. Jessica Van Vliet, she would say she would do it like what you're talking about, being really mindful with the activity. So
Hmm.
with washing her hands, which is something she did quite regularly, right? Every time it was an opportunity to engage in that mindfulness practice. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, or I would row when I watched the Oilers game,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
pairing things together. And then guess what? Some of those habits actually go nicely together. It's like, well, then I'm drinking more water and then I'm like eating a little better. And then
Yep.
those things can kind of complement each other.
Yep. For sure. The other piece I was going to say too, reaching a goal with a friend, with a spouse,
Hmm.
sort of being each other's cheerleaders. That can be really helpful too. Is just having that social engagement, perhaps for someone to keep you accountable to what you're doing. And it's just more enjoyable in general,
Hmm.
right? Like for some people, going out running is brutal. I hear all the time someone will say, oh, it's boring. But then if you're doing it with a friend, perhaps just that social camaraderie to be saying, yeah, we're reaching a goal together. How much fun is that? Right. And we can celebrate together when we reach certain milestones.
Oh, I love that. I think I haven't seen any. I'd like to look for some research in terms of like those physical fitness goals, right? And if you
Hmm.
sign up for like a class that you're meeting with people and they're like waiting for you to be there because you guys are
Yeah.
doing all this thing together
Yep.
versus like just getting a gym membership and trying to do it yourself. I think, yeah.
There's connection, right? There's engagement. I think it's really important for us to remember, like most of us are social beings. We tend to want to be around people, or at least people who we like or have similar interests or goals.
Hmm.
And so when we join certain classes or we join certain leagues for sports, like there's a common interest and it's like, yeah, let's do this together with other people,
Yeah.
right? Even for example, like golf, it's a solo sport, but a lot of people like going out with others who maybe they even just meet for the first time.
Yeah, no, I think as much as you can build it into like the relationships that you have or new relationships, right, with a common interest.
Yep.
Yeah, that's huge. I was also thinking about like some of the reasons why New Year's resolutions don't work, like why they fail. And I think we've touched on some of them, but like, overly ambitious goals, right? Vague goals. Oh, a good one is like not not planning for obstacles. And we did touch on that a bit,
Yeah.
but like how do you like have a bit of a plan for, the times where it's going to be harder to do the thing that you're trying to
Yep.
do, right?
And so even if you are somebody who plans with timelines, right? I try not to, but some people do. And even extending that timeline. So having like maybe a more general timeline and giving yourself permission to say, okay, I need to extend this timeline for a month because I hit a couple of snags. Right. So a bit of that self-compassion comes into
Yeah.
play,
Yeah.
self-forgiveness. It
Yeah.
all comes back down to self-compassion, man.
It does a lot of it. Yeah. If we have compassion, we can learn and change a lot better than when we have a lot of criticism. So, and don't rely only on your motivation, right? Like build this into kind of a routine so that it's not like, oh, I need to pump myself up to be able to get to the gym. It's like, no, this is what I do. This is, when I wake up, this is what I do. And if you do it enough times, it becomes automatic, right?
So this is an interesting episode, Dave. Like we went in the direction of New Year's resolution, but I almost feel like we were just talking about goal setting. Goal setting for ourselves, goal setting for the new year, goal setting for therapy sessions, whatever it may be. A lot of it is goal setting.
Absolutely. Yeah, is that your takeaway or is that how you want to
I think
end
that's my
today?
takeaway. I think we can goal set any time of the year. I think for me personally, I do feel that way. It doesn't just happen when we roll around to a new year. For me, I think it's the process of reflecting about how things are going at certain periods of our lives, and then thinking about, okay, what changes can I make? It can happen in January, it can happen in July. I think as long as we reflect about it and we enjoy the process, or at least have a process in place on how to get there, I think it sets us up for a bit more the probability for success. How about you, Dave?
Yeah, I think, the takeaway from just prepping for this and talking about it, it's like New Year's resolutions are actually a viable, like psychologically valid kind of activity that can make it more likely to achieve some goals. And it almost like you said, this is generally goal setting, but it's we all have motivations to do better and be better and be healthier and all these things. Like we have
Mhm.
an interest in doing it. So if this is an activity that allows you to be more intentional and plan it out and talk with other people, right? If you're all sitting around on New Year's Eve and talking about New Year's resolutions, and then you're going to be meeting with these people next year on New Year's Eve, right? Like so I like this more and more the more I talk about it. So I'm gonna definitely do some.
It would be very interesting if people are sitting around a table or around a coffee table talking about New Year's resolutions. I would love somebody, whoever's listening, and you're talking to that person, say, how are you going to do it? So you hear the resolution. The question is, how are you going to do it? And I wonder if the person, your counterpart, whoever you're talking to, will have some sort of plan to share. Or
And then
is it just this overarching thing that they just want to do?
and then if you've listened to this podcast, you might ask them like, do you want to make that a little bit smarter? Do you want to do you want to work on that a little bit smarter?
Here's my
And they'll be
portable
like, what?
whiteboard.
Yeah.
What does the S stand for?
Oh, but even just the like specific, measurable, and meaningful,
Yeah.
like those ones, it's like pretty quick to do a quick check and be
Oh,
like,
for
oh yeah,
sure.
yeah.
For sure. I mean, you might get some looks if you start talking about SMART goals at a holiday party.
You might be the talk of the party. I definitely won't be that person, but yeah,
Or you're not invited next year.
yeah. Oh, well, this was
All right.
fun.
This was fun. This was fun. Well, you know what? We'll probably have to come back to goal setting at some point. I think even just in our conversation today, we probably came up with a couple of topics for next year.
Yeah.
But no, this was a lot of fun. A little bit looser of an episode, just having a bit of laughs and at the same time talking about something that will be important. So, wishing everybody who's listening, a happy holiday season, Merry Christmas if you celebrate, Happy Hanukkah if you celebrate, and all the best for 2026.
Yeah, solstice too. I guess if you like this, check the boxes that say you like this or do the things that you need to do. And if you found this useful, talk to people about it, let them know, spread the word. We are growing slowly. But yeah, just this is the way we keep doing this, is if this grows to a certain point where we can actually, get paid to do this. That would be awesome. Until then, we're going to keep doing this for fun and hopefully you enjoy it.
And it is fun. Take care, everyone.
Take care.